Okay, so we're still on Tree of Life. This is the third video. We're now in the realm of Briah, the watery realm. So I'm just going to start, before I start rambling, I'm going to start reading and then we'll go into the rambling. Chapter 5. Just past the abyss, in the realm of Briah, where the Buddhic and Nirvanic planes reside, is the water's firstborn daughter, Chesed. Chesed means mercy in Hebrew. I'm going to probably end up saying Chesed a lot because it looks like Chesed, and that's how I say it in my head when I read it, because English is my first language and my Hebrew is not strong. So if I say Chesed, just understand that's what I mean, is Chesed. It means mercy. It is the strongest feminine energy of the soul. Mercy is born of wisdom and understanding, and therefore has qualities of both. She's kind because she understands. She's a great teacher because she has wisdom, and she is exactly what is needed beyond the abyss in order to receive the raw power of the absolute realm and translate the supernal energies into the frequencies below. She is responsible to and for all of the tree because she is the medium between the roots and the rest of her tree. Her most important function is to convert the light of the divine fiery energies into sustenance for the Sephirah below. In this way, she is the ambassador to the divine realm. Okay, so Chesed means mercy, but mercy in Hebrew is not the same as mercy in English. It is more like loving kindness is what Chesed really means. So loving kindness is, it's more than just mercy. It's this abundant need for charity, or to give, or to do more, or to help, just to help. Like you know, you're overwhelmed with pity and empathy, and it's a loving kindness is an expression of that inner instinct for empathy, for charity. It's the first emotion expressed in all of creation. This loving kindness, the first emotion the spirit expresses openly, now that it has emotion. And the first thing spirit expresses with its individuality and its freedom of choice and its will is the desire to be charitable. And that desire is strong in Chesed. Chesed is, you know, the firstborn daughter. She's the medium, she's the in-between. So like all of the divine energies give their light through the funnel of Chesed, and she expresses the divine energies in the watery realm. She is the mirror image of Chokhmah, which is will. And as the mirror image of will, you get the negative aspect, which is the passive energy aspect of that, which is to share, essentially. Just share, help. You know, little kids express it when they're just big enough to walk around. They want to help. It's their first instinct is to help. I want to help you do dishes, mommy. I want to help you cook dinner, mommy. I want to help. You know, that's Chesed coming out in every one of us. And it's overwhelming, you know, as a magnetic energy. The need to benefit mankind, or, you know, help your community. These things are innate within us, built into us. It's not something we were taught. It's something that we just release. And you get that here. Her most important function is to convert the light of the divine and fiery energies into sustenance for the Sephirah below. In this way, she is the ambassador of the Holy Trinity, positioned directly below Chokhmah at the right shoulder of the human being. Mercy, or grace, is the fourth Sephirah. She's transition, the second Hay of the Tetragrammaton, embodied in the earthly element and grounded in the waters of the soul. Chesed is a measuring intelligence which breaks down the higher frequencies into a comprehensible form for the lower frequencies to receive. She is the keeper of the gates to the heavens. It is her intention to emulate the divine energies in the realm of Briah, not as a substitute, but as an honest representative. The Kemetic tree of life assigns this position to the goddess Maat, who weighs the hearts of men against the feather of truth. She's the translator. She mirrors the raw will of Shokma and gives it character and depth. Empowered by understanding, Chesed is the drawing board. Her potential is unlimited as she draws her power from the absolute plane above her. The bosses have given her their expectations, and now she must design a presentation that they will endorse and that the public will buy. This is where vision and imagination are given to spirit. Chesed's illusion is called infallibility. This is the notion that you're never wrong. This is where you feel like you have considered all possible outcomes and, like a Boy Scout, prepared for everything. This illusion is what feeds the ego in gestation. This is the ego's womb. This is the birthplace of pride, the equal opposite of love. But pride is a necessary evil, for it maintains its polar opposite, giving it purpose and balance. This is where we forget to expect the unexpected. For anything is possible, and you can become your own undoing. But who is to tell the dreamer that he is dreaming? The only cure for the imbalance of the illusion of infallibility is humility. Of course, humility is pride's greatest foe. And if you do not find it by choice, it will find you by force. If your pride grows too strong, life will give you balance through humility. And, in Chesed, you get the birthplace of the ego because of the desire. The desire to help, the desire to do good, whatever this desire is, it's still desire, which feeds the ego. And the ego in gestation here is just a thought, but it's a cause. Desire creates this cause. So it all happens naturally. It's not your fault. It just comes. That's the good and the bad. You got to take the dark with the light. And, in the realm of water, everything is extra emotional. Just extra emotional. But it's cool. You got to come to the realm of Briah before you can actually express any of your emotions. Like, when you get them all in Bina, but, you can't express them until Briah. Okay. Spirit's second stop in the Briah realm of creativity must, by natural law, be the polar opposite of Chesed. For all things manifest must have their equal opposite, lest they should fall out of balance and cease to exist. And then, to the abyss with you. The masculine energy which opposes and maintains Chesed's vision and imagination is called Gevora. 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 Sometimes it's spelled with a V, sometimes it's spelled with a B. My Hebrew is not awesome. It means strength, which is sort of the opposite of mercy. Not in that mercy is not a strong attribute, but it would be the balancing strength to the empathy in mercy. The second emotion expressed in spiritual travels is the opposite of the first emotion. The first emotion is piety and pity and loving kindness and mercy, and then the opposite of that would be the masculine self-discipline of control, of how to control that energy. So then strength comes in and gives you deliberation and delegation of these emotions. So the limits come in, the framework. Like, it's okay that you have all this desire to be, charitable, but you need to be cautious as well. Be cautious about, where you put yourself, the positions you put yourself in, and, make sure that you're always safe first and foremost. And, not everybody is deserving of your charity or your attention, depending on their intentions. But strength, Gevurah, is positioned at the left shoulder of the human being. It is might to Chesed's mercy. He is strength and law. He is limitation and severity. Located just below Bina on the left shoulder of the human being, Gevurah is the old school dad who has no time to play, for he must provide. He is nothing if not determined. With imagination and inspiration from Chesed, spirit goes to Gevurah to receive their framework. The solid rules and regulations for life are devised and implemented here. Gevurah is a firm foundation and strong pillars to support the limitless potential of Chesed. This is the crucial step between ideality and actuality. So Gevurah is, you know, okay, but you can only go this far. Okay, but you can only give this much. You know, okay, but you can only devote so much of yourself to this, you know. It reminds you to be organized and structured. Gevurah is a rugged romantic. He sees the beauty in Chesed's vision and dedicates his life to making it hers to hold and keep forever. The masculine electric active energy is strong here. Taking the male role, Gevurah quickly begins to assign limitations and boundaries to the creative chaos of Chesed's translated light. Gevurah is a radical intelligence, so he is not one to back down. His purpose is clear, and his inspiration is irreplaceable. He is the John Wick of the Tree of Life. His power is drawn from will, which is the truest source of magic. You don't play, or don't play. Look, this is how far you'll go. You will go no further, you know. His card, the card in the tarot that represents Gevurah is the Hierophant. And the Hierophant represents mercy, which is, you know, Chesed, obviously, but the Hierophant is a, you know, a more, in the watery realm, it is emotional masculinity. Does that make sense? It is the masculine energy of emotion. It is the most masculine energy of emotion. And it is the perfect balance to the most feminine energy of emotion. So, I mean, there's always that. But, you know, Gevurah is essentially implementation of Chesed. And it is implementation in a strategized manner, of course. It gives you that that judgment call, you know, to withhold some of your energies from Chesed. Like, Chesed has all of the divine energies and then all of the emotional empathy all in one, you know, but then to balance that out, you need to sort of oppose it. You need to sort of be like, you know, there's a time and a place for everything. This is not the time, this is not the place, let's move on. Gevurah's illusion, big surprise, is called invincibility. More than never wrong. Gevurah's energy creates a cockiness that gives us a feeling that we're never going to change and never need to. It applies to everything. Our health, our form, our age, our hearts, our minds, our circumstances. Nothing needs to change. Everything is good. Change is bad. We get this feeling that we're unstoppable. You know, Frank Sinatra said it like this, I've got the world on a string. It's that feeling, that invincibility. It's typical of the teenage boy who thinks he's the biggest dog in the kennel. If the ego is fed by infallibility, it is certainly spoiled by invincibility. Chesed's energy gives the bark, while Gevurah's energy gives ego its bite. This is vanity, plain and simple, and it's not a good look for spirit. So yeah, Chesed is the birthplace or the womb of the ego, but the nutrients that feed that baby in gestation come from Gevurah. It's that, you know, I know what to do. Leave it to me. I got this. You know, that kind of emotion that feeds the ego in gestation. And then, with the balance of might and mercy, Briah's hermaphrodite energy is born, Tiferet, or harmony, which translates into balance. It's positioned right over the Manipura chakra at the solar plexus and has both positive and negative energies, as it is a unified duality of both of its parents, Gevurah and Chesed. Soft and subtle, like Chesed, yet strong and bold, like Gevurah. Tiferet is born of balance. This is where spirit receives clarity of vision and structure of law. This is symmetry at its best. This is where beauty of spirit combines with harmony of soul. And that being said, this is where both the consciousness and the ego are born. When you have the balance of the watery realms of emotion, when you balance your emotions, I mean, obviously, when you have an equal balance of two opposite things, it's going to create something new. But this newness created in the emotional realm of Briah is so powerful and so strong that it creates its own set of twins. This is the Gemini twins. Tiferet is an extension of Keter in the watery realm, as it mirrors Keter in the watery realm. Keter being a unified duality of both energies, masculine and feminine. Same thing here in the watery realm. You've got a unified duality of both of the energies of Chesed and Gevurah, and they blend so perfectly and balance each other out, and they create Tiferet, which is, you know, an immense amount of power. Tiferet is symmetry and balance. Everything in nature is symmetrical in its perfect state, you know. Anything, cats, spiders, people, faces, shoes, feet, you know, everything has its perfect balance, its symmetry. And you know, that's a reflection of Tiferet. The power of balance is so strong that it creates a chemical reaction that gives spirit a consciousness, which is essentially a steering wheel. Consciousness is self-awareness. It is more than computation and reasoning skills. It is more than logic and structure. Consciousness gives spirit curiosity and adaptability. Spirit can look at its surroundings and identify its place among them. This is the masculine energy of Tiferet. Consciousness is the hero on a mission. But what would a hero be without its villain? How would he ever get his mission? Enter the ego. So you've got the masculine energy in Tiferet being the consciousness. And that's where consciousness is really born, when you have the balance of the tip of the Sephirah before it in the fiery realm and the watery realm. When you balance these energies, you get more. Consciousness is air, obviously, so then, you know, the next realm that you're going to go to is the realm of air, but you have to create, you know, the concept of air before you can create air itself. So Tiferet is the concept of air, and in the concept of air you get harmony, balance, symmetry, the integration of the energies before it. All the energies before it integrate into this one. And then you know, if you study the diagram of the Tree of Life, you'll notice that all the paths on the Tree of Life that lead through Tiferet, whenever you go through a path to Tiferet, when you come out the other side, it automatically reverses the polarity. Like the energy, you started at Gevurah, you go through Tiferet, and you come out into a feminine energy. You know, you start at the feminine energy of Chesed, and then you go through Tiferet, and you come out at a masculine energy. It swaps all of the energies around. It balances it. I mean, that's Tiferet's, you know, whole purpose is for balance. And for consciousness to be such an immense creation, it also requires an immense balance, which is the ego. So the ego is the negative feminine aspect, and then the consciousness is the masculine positive aspect of balance. And these things work together by opposition. It's cool and weird at the same time. So this is how karma assigns balance. The ego is the agent of balance, you see. She is the antagonist to the light of love. Our kind and giving nature is put to the test time and time again by our survival instinct. That's kind of a good way to explain Chesed as our nature of kindness and giving, and then Gevurah as our nature of survival. And then you have the combination of the two in Tiferet. She tells us to steal to survive, even when we know it's karmically imbalance promoting. She tells us to eat, even when we have to kill to do it. She challenges our lives daily by placing obstacles in our path that we won't see until we get there 2 weeks later. She's always setting us up with hard choices to make, and this is as it should be, for all souls must labor. That's a Toth quote from the Emerald Tablets. All that you have must be earned, but remember that the principle of polarization states that the opposites are identical in nature but different in degree. So really, you know, the ego and the consciousness are equals. And just like in the Matrix, when, you know, the evolution of Neo is the evolution of Mr. Smith, you know, the same thing with your consciousness and your ego. Neo would be your consciousness, and then Mr. Smith would be your ego. And as one evolves, the other one evolves, you know, parallel. Ruthless and cunning is the ego, because logical and direct is the consciousness. The ego is survival-minded, and the only way to balance her is selflessness. This is why the mind is neutral. The consciousness puts her in her place by not giving her what she wants, but what's best for the whole. That's how you don't spoil a woman or a child. Well, that's how my man does it. He does it. You just don't give her what she wants. Just give her little bits and pieces of what she wants, but not all of what she wants, because then she's not spoiled and she's always left to want something. That's where men get it wrong. They give you everything they want, everything you want, and they never say no. And then they rob you of wanting things. You don't have the opportunity to want anything because you get everything you want. It's too easy. Tiferet knows the secret. So does a Gemini. So when you date Geminis, understand you won't get everything you want. Anyway, so yeah, the great illusion of Tiferet is called self-identification. Remember, you are light, light of the Creator. You are fire of the cosmos. You are not the body that you wear. You are not the mind that operates it. These are tools utilized by a mental universe on a physical plane. You are not the ego. In the same way, you are not the consciousness. The ego is an extension of your consciousness, and the consciousness is an extension of your ego, but you are neither. These are tools you've been given. The illusion of the ego is that you are the tools that you've been given. This is a dangerous notion. The most harm from this illusion is manifested in emotional confusion. When you think you are the body, you get real insecure about how you look. When you think you are the mind, you get real insecure about how you speak or what you understand. But understand that you are neither of these things. You are not the body that you wear. You are not the mind that operates it. You are light of the Creator, a drop of sunlight, fire of creation. That's you. The rest is just tools you've been given for growth. Always for growth. If you don't know your own, the most harm from this illusion is manifested in emotional confusion. If you don't know your own heart, you could never possibly be sincere. You lie to yourself every day and still hope to sell yourself as genuine. And the ego knows you better than you know yourself. And you are a liar, instinctively. You can see this working in abuse cases where people maintain that slave mentality for generations after the actual abuse. How can you perform your hero tasks when you think you are the victim? But then again, how do you tell the victim that they have been the hero all along? It's a crazy, confusing situation, you know. But it is identity confusion is the illusion of Tiferet. So, you know, with the symmetry and the balance of the creative aspects of the spirit and the soul duality in this watery realm of emotion, you know, you sort of feel like you don't know who you are, or, you know, you're too complex to really understand. Maybe you're this, maybe you're that. You're not all of these things. It's very simple what you are. You know, you're an extension of the Creator, the light of the all. And all of these other things or, you know, extensions of you, or things that you grew out of you or off of you in order to grow and in order to, you know, have interaction with whatever plane you're on. But at the end of the day, you know, these are things you grew around you. This is not who you are. Who you are is much more simple. You are light. You are live energy, a spark of the divine outpouring, and that's what you'll always be. So all this extra shit is just extra shit, and it doesn't matter. But, you know, the illusion of self-identification puts you in a place where you don't know who you are. So your perception is off. You know, you spend the first 30 years of your natural life trying to figure out who you're not. And then at 30, you realize you know who you're not. But that doesn't mean you know who you are. So now you're like, well, shit, who am I? I should probably start figuring that out. And that's natural because, you know, at 29, you get your Saturn return and your limitations are dropped. So you start to explore yourself, which is good. You know how to work the world around you, and you know how the environment affects you and all of that. But, you know, figure out who you are. That's important. And Tiferet is a really good place to do that because this is where you are most in balance. It's right over the Manipura chakra, which is the chakra of will. So if you know, utilize your will to understand your consciousness and your ego and balance the two out, but fully gather what each are made of, you know, you don't just slay your demons, you figure out what they've been feeding on and you starve the next ones. You know, it's a beautiful arrangement in Tiferet. But yeah, so that's the watery realm of Briah. So then next we'll do the air realm of Yetzirah, which is consciousness and mind, and it's a lot of fun. So